ago when Mark read on the first day of the week, very early in the morning, the women who were close to Jesus, they had taken some spices that they prepared to go to the tomb. It was a practice. That would have been something that happened back then. They found the stone had rolled away. If you look in other Gospels, it says they were kind of talking along the way going, how are we going to roll the stone away so that we can anoint the body? Because that was one of the customs that they would do. But when they got there, they saw that the stone that was back in over 2,000 years ago, it's not a cemetery like it is today. They would carve out these areas to create graves. And so then they put a large rock as sorts in front of it. And so when they arrived there, they were shocked, of course, to see that it was already removed. And when they entered, they did not find the body of their Lord, their Savior, their Jesus. They had known Jesus for at least 3 years. They had walked with him, they ate with him, they did everything. They believed that Jesus was going to be this king. You know, many of us have an idea about what God is supposed to be, and then when he doesn't turn out to be the way we want, boy, we go look for something else, right? Turn the channel on. Maybe Dr. Phil has another option for us, right? This whole God thing isn't working. And I'm sure I'm not the only one that's kind of thought that or done that. And so they're distraught. In other Gospels, they say, where have they taken my Lord? And they're upset. And while they were wondering about this and looking, suddenly 2 men in clothes that gleamed like lightning stood beside them, almost like in the form of an angel. And of course they were frightened and put their faces to the ground. But the men said to them, why do you look for the living among the dead? Essentially he's saying, why are you here? Why are you here? Had he not told you? Why are you looking for the living among the dead? He is not here, he's risen. He goes on to say, remember how he told you? Remember how he told you. You know, Jesus, this wasn't really that big of a mystery. Christianity is not as much a mystery as you might think it is. I think sometimes you make this God thing really harder than it needs to be. It's actually quite simple. God made it simple because he knew we had a very small brain and could only handle so much. So he simplified it for us. Don't make it more complicated than it is. It does go beyond what our mind can comprehend, but that's where faith comes in. You all believe that God created the earth. I always find it interesting how without a shadow of a doubt, you believe that God created all of this life in 7 days, in 6 days, 7 days, seventh day he rested. You believe that without even thinking about it. You believe that the sun does what it does and the plants grow the way they grow. You breathe oxygen. You accept all of that by faith. Well, it's with that same faith that you can believe the things of God. You don't understand probably how oxygen works, but you're using it right now. Right? And do you have to understand it to use it? Or are some of you holding your breath till you figure it out? That would be weird. You're just using it. You're trusting it. Right? You're trusting your eyesight even though you don't really know unless we have some incredible brain surgeon in here today. And if there is, did the offering plate go by that? No, I'm just kidding. But, just being transparent. No. Right? So, you don't understand how your eyesight works. You don't understand those things, but I'm assuming you're looking and you're using it. You know, God is not as complicated as we make him. And so these angels of sorts are saying to the woman, why are you here? Remember when he told you? Remember he told you he's going to die. Remember he told you that he was going to be suffered and crucified. Remember he told you that 3 days later he would rise. What in the world are you guys doing here? He's not here. He's risen. Let me let you in on one profound truth, if you hear nothing else today. If God says it, it is so. Amen. Say it with me. If God says it, it is so.
Amen.
Right? If God says it, it is so. And Jesus said, I'm going to rise. Jesus actually said it in a lot of different ways. He said, I'm going to tear this temple down in 3 days, I'll build it back up. Of course, people are going, you talking about that temple? What is he talking about? He's talking about himself. He's talking about him being God in the flesh, the incarnate, in the flesh, God. Made his dwelling among us in the form of Jesus. He had to. Because you and I cannot die and go to hell and get out. But God can't go back on what he said. He can't break his own law. He can't break his own promise. He's bound by it. And the law says that the penalty and the cost for sin is separation from God. He made the rule. He can't go back on it. That's one thing God cannot do, is he cannot lie. He cannot break his rule. He's bound by it. But he loves you with a passionate and everlasting love. I don't care who you are and what you've done, he loves you. He loves you passionately. He created you on purpose for a purpose. And he desperately, the word says that Jesus is slow in coming back because he wants everyone to know this. He wants everyone to be reconciled back to him. He wants everyone to receive the gift of Jesus Christ. And this free gift, Jesus says, even while we still didn't get it, some of us still don't get it today, even while we don't get it, even while we're still in our sinfulness, in our ugliness, in our brokenness, in our separation from God, Jesus died for us. The Bible tells us that. And he wants us to know that. Desperately wants us to know that. He is risen. He is not here. Even though you may not understand it, it is real and it is true. You know, we get excited about the resurrection. We like the whole not going to hell thing. I don't, I've been doing this for 23 years now as a Christian, and I've never encountered somebody that says, well, tell me a little bit more about hell. Oh, well, apparently you like fire, so let's start there. How about eternal torment? How's that working for you, right? So, I've never had any, of course we all don't want to go to hell. Of course we love the resurrection. We love that Jesus died for us. See, that most of us, the truth of the matter is, I don't care if this is your first time in church or you've been in here, 30 years in church. This profound thing that we accept, that we like that Jesus died for our sin, but don't be getting involved in my life. It's just how it is. It's like, you know what, Jesus, you go ahead and go to hell because I know that is something I can't do. You go do that. But as far as telling me how to live my life, you need to just mind your own business. Stop being all pushy and everything. We're like the teenage child who expects their parents to actually pay for everything but tell them nothing. Can I get an amen from a parent? Right? Don't tell me what to do. Just pay the ticket. After all, don't you love me? Not right now. But I bet you that prison guard, he might be lovely. Right? Of course we like the part of him dying and going to hell because we can't do that and we don't want to do that, and so we're happy to do that. And the angel is asking him, why are you looking for the living among the dead? This whole living God thing, this is where the disconnect is in our world today, you guys. A lot of us, I believe in God, but God is over there. He's not involved here. He's not a living God. He's not an active God. You maybe have never said it, but you probably, believe it or not, live that way. All of us probably know what an atheist is. An atheist is someone who rejects God completely. They don't believe in the existence of a God. You may be an atheist. There might be somebody in here. There's an agnostic. An agnostic is someone who's like, I believe in the existence of a God, but I don't really know who it is, and I'm not really sure. And it's kind of an agnostic point of view says, you know what, all religions are good, and after all, we're all going to the same place. Well, I sure hope not. Because I don't know where Buddha people are going. I'm not sure yet. So I don't want to be lumped in there, right? And I'm not sure where the religion that ISIS follows, I'm darn sure don't want to go there. So all religions, folks, don't go to the same place. Right? It's an offense to each of them. But an agnostic kind of like, it's all kind of the same. We're just trying to manage morality. And yeah, there's a God, and, that's an agnostic. Then there's a point of view that you rarely hear about, and that's a deist. And a deist is someone who acknowledges there's a creator God. I believe that there's a God, there's a creator God. After all, I may be prideful, but I ain't so prideful to think that I created all this. So I know there's a power at work greater than myself. We hear that in recovery, right? Whatever you decide that to be. But you believe in God, the creator God. What you don't believe is that he's involved in your life. You don't believe he's a personal God. It's kind of like he set all this in motion and said, go for it. Best of luck. Now watch. He sit back, eat some popcorn, and watch us make a mess. I bet it's quite entertaining. That's kind of a deist point of view. This whole living God, this idea of Jesus living, to be quite honest, you guys, is tough. It's one of the reasons sometimes we only come to church on Easter. Maybe Christmas. You know, because God is not a living, real God to us. He's an idea of a God. And you believe that. I believe by faith there's a God who can do stuff I can't do. But I don't believe he's living and active with me, right? So let me ask you guys a question. Let me ask you kids a question. Look what I have. I have some toys. You're going to like this. I have a Barbie. Ah. I love Barbies. I used to play with Barbies. I still play with them now, but people make fun of me. Okay. So, to go over and play with Lacey when no one's looking. So, yeah, I have some toys up here. I have a Barbie. I have a baby doll. So let me ask you guys, which is better? Living, something that's living, or something that's dead? Something that's living, right? Everyone says, oh yeah, I want something living. I don't want something dead, right? So boys and girls, and big boys and girls, some of you that put this box down here so you guys can get it. Look at this handsome fella. I really should get out and watch more TV. Okay, so which would be better? The real Thor. Toy. Woo! Ladies, which one's better? I digress. Anyway, so how cool would it be? I have no idea what this guy does, but he's a handsome fellow. I don't really watch this stuff, but he looks pretty powerful. Yeah, there's a hammer in that box, and apparently he's good with that hammer. Okay, so would it be cooler, guys, to have Thor come like hang out and live with you, or the toy? Ladies, how many of you prefer? The nice part is he's not going to ask you how much you spent at the store the other day. But anyways, how many of you, let's see, would want, how about the real Batman? Woo! There you go. Jane's a little excited. Her husband's not here today. So she's getting, I don't know who that is either, but he's a handsome fella, right? So do we want the real Batman or the plastic Batman? Anybody want the plastic Batman? All right, Daniel does. Daniel's like, I do. I totally play with it. My son-in-law will play with you. He's 30-something years old. Okay. How about a real Barbie, right? Or a fake Barbie? Now, girls, I'll tell you something. Can I tell you something? If you want your dad to play with you more, get a real Barbie. They'll be having tea parties. You can put nail polish on their hands. You can do whatever you want as long as they sit with the real Barbie. Oh, heck yeah, I'm available for a tea party. You bet I am. Hello, real Barbie. No, I'm not Thor. Okay, so real Barbie versus fake Barbie. And of course, you guys are all going to get these things, right? How about a real baby or a baby doll? Real baby. So let me see this real baby. Baby doll. Roman wants a baby doll. Now, I can't give her away, but which would be more fun to play with? Huh? Which would be more fun to play with? Cassidy. Cassidy's like, why are you all looking at me? You know, when Kayla was probably just about a couple weeks old, my mom and I dressed her up, we propped her up, we played with her, we had so much fun. Then they poop and cry, so here you go. These don't. So, right? Kind of the real thing versus the fake thing. How about, would you prefer a fake bunny, or do you want a real bunny? Take him out. This is Matthew, and he's a real bunny. you know rabbits. There's more of them.
Put them in separate cages.
Okay. Okay, let's have a seat. So, Matthew will be here after church for you guys to see that. Okay. All right. So, now, here's the thing. The real bunny is great. But do you have to take care of that bunny? Has to feed him, clip his nails, clean up bathroom. Oh, he chews stuff up, so you gotta watch him. This one, nothing. Look at that, Lucas. He just stares. He doesn't do anything. Right? He's just a fun little bunny. All right. It's kind of like having a puppy. All of us, oh, a puppy is so great. I'd much rather have a living puppy than a stuffed puppy until the puppy goes to the bathroom and your parents get upset with you. Until the puppy, when we got our Garnet, who passed away last year, we were very sad about losing Garnet, but we had her when she was a puppy, and when Alyssa first got Garnet, do you know that Garnet whimpered all night in that kennel? And actually, Alyssa, believe it or not, got up. She was a lot younger. She got up as my youngest child. She got up and crawled in the kennel with the puppy to calm her down. Yeah, that's only fun for about a night. And so, but the reality is, we always think that would be good. Really want you guys to listen here. Oh, you know what? For these toys, there's 5 of these toys. Where are our Easter egg hiders? So we are going to, these eggs say, see Pastor. If you want one of these toys, you need to find one of these eggs. I'll bring them out to this thing. So those that are hiding Easter eggs, they're going to head out and do that. Okay? So I want everybody else to stay focused. The sooner you kids stay focused, the sooner we're going to go on the Easter egg hunt. Living always seems better. It would be so much better to have that bunny. It would be so much better to have a real puppy. It would be so much better to have Barbie than a dog. Right? It would be so much more fun. Let me tell you something. Listen very carefully to what I'm saying, you guys. So much religion is spent at an empty tomb. Religion, let me listen very carefully. And let me tell you something. It's a reason why a lot of you don't go to church regularly. I've heard this phrase in our world. I like Jesus, I don't like religion. Religion isn't bad. Religion is simply a set of beliefs. But religion has got a bad name, and the reason it's got a bad name is because most religion is spent at an empty tomb. Most religion's fake. That's what an empty tomb is. There's nothing in there. Why are you at an empty tomb? Why are you worshiping a dead thing? Why are you doing that? Why are you spending time? Religion at an empty tomb is simply a religion that's made up of man-made rules. Jesus actually talks about it. He actually quotes the prophet Isaiah when Isaiah says, your worship of me, you guys have just come up what religion looks like and you're all doing it. But it has nothing to do with me. I'm not even there. You can go to a lot of churches, and you may have been to a church where you didn't feel any God there. Oh, we sang about a God. Well, you know, it seemed like, but there wasn't really this presence of this living God. Many of us are still at an empty tomb. What do I mean by that? The reality, you guys, it's easier to keep Jesus on the cross or in the tomb. It's actually easier to worship at the tomb because then we can design a faith or religion that we determine. And what we do is then we set Jesus up and he becomes kind of our spokesperson, our superhero, kind of a logo of sorts. I had her click on those 3 pictures for me, Jamie. So a lot of us, in fact, you've heard it, some of you that have been to the Catholic Church, I was raised Catholic, Jesus was always on the cross. One of the biggest things I noticed when I became a Protestant, a believer, that we're all Christians, Catholics are Christians too, so Catholics and Protestants are Christians. So once I started worshiping in a Protestant church, in a Christian church, I noticed that Jesus isn't on the cross. But in the Catholic Church, not all of them, but a lot of them tend to keep Jesus on the cross. Some of us have just that. And so, it's interesting that these crosses, some of us wear crosses, some of us love to put them in our house. This kind of becomes the logo of our religion, the logo of our faith. Jesus becomes the spokesperson. We set him up as Jesus is our, and that's fine, but the reality is, you guys, is that this is where we want to hang out, at the empty tomb. We want Jesus to stay on the cross. We want Jesus to stay dead. Because as long as he's dead, I can make him say whatever. I love you. You are so handsome. Oh, you're really pretty. Isn't it fun? That's what we do. No. Ooh, you were wanting me to do it, so I went ahead and did it. Right? It's great because, Jesus, as long as Jesus is dead, he's not demanding anything from me. What's great about this baby versus the Cassidy baby, who's cute and she's dressed up and looks wonderful, but somebody call Christina at 2 in the morning and see if she's having a blast. Pretty sure not. Right? The baby demands stuff, right? The dogs, these things, once it's real, once they have a life, they speak for themselves. Oh, you think you want a real life Thor in your house? Some of you men said, nope, I don't. Some of you think you want a Barbie, right? Some of the men's like, I'd love to have a Barbie. Yeah, but she's going to talk. And you're going to be like, well, you were really hot when you came in, but now you need to go because you're talking and you're annoying me. She's going to want to go shopping. You don't think her hair and nails look like that on their own, right? She's pretty, but she's going to cost you. Trust me. Ain't nobody born like that. That's a lot of money right there. Jesus is very much alive. If you notice around the crosses, and I know not all of you were here, but for the last 7 weeks we went around and we talked about how Jesus is the bread of life, the light of the world, the vine, we're the branches. He's the resurrection and life. He's that perfect good shepherd. He's the gate where we experience freedom. And we conclude all that on Good Friday. And some of you missed Good Friday. I left some of the stuff up for you to be able to experience and take a look at before you leave, some of the papers that you can take with you. Because this series really, one of the things that I ask people, what was it about this that you really got? And almost everybody said, Jesus became real. This series made Jesus real. He went from being this dead Jesus to very much alive. Jesus is very much alive. But it's easier, now listen very carefully to me, you guys. Oh, we think that we want a living Barbie, a living Thor, a real puppy, a real bunny, a real baby. The truth is, it's easier to believe, it's easier to follow, it's easier to serve, it's easier to worship a dead Jesus. It's easier to believe in a dead God instead of a living God. Because as long as he's dead, we get to speak for him. He doesn't speak. I can make him say whatever I want. And this is what many of us do with Jesus. Many of us define and say, well, my God wouldn't do this. This is why you get mad when things don't go the way you told it to go. Just like, have you ever seen girls that play with Barbies? Why does their arm not do that? I broke it! Right? Because it doesn't do what I want it to do. Its head came off. No, that's your brother. Right? You want it to do, but there's only so much. Barbie's arm can only go this far. She can't bend her, she can't, she can only do so much. I can't curl her hair. Trust me, I tried when I was little. It melts. But anyway. Right? And so there's only so much I can do with a fake Jesus. And I get so mad when he doesn't do what I expect him to do. Because this, this, and this. Man, it's so much easier. It's so much easier when we get to tell him what to do. You know, a dead Jesus is a Jesus that doesn't make noise. Come on, any parents of little girls, you know what I'm talking about here. Oh, this is a cute doll, but I want a doll that cries. And now they've made them where they cry until you stick a bottle in. And how many on 2 days after Christmas are you going, where's that bottle? Shut that doll up. Right? Because it's just like, stop. You can't do that with real people. Stop, right? Where's the batteries? Do you know a dead Jesus? Here's the cool part about a dead Jesus. A dead Jesus won't ask anything of you. A dead Jesus won't place any demands on you. A dead Jesus won't annoy you. You get to talk for him. You get to put Jesus on a shelf when those friends come over, because after all, you don't want them to know that you have Jesus. That's the cool part about a dead Jesus. You can bring him out when you want to. That's what a dead Jesus does. Much easier. Much easier. Why are you looking for a living God at a tomb? That's what the angels are saying to Mary. Why? So much easier. A stuffed Jesus is much easier to believe in. You know, Jesus died for your life so that he could live. Jesus is not dead. Amen. He is alive. And he lives in those of us who serve and worship and believe in a living God. Amen? Amen. Amen. You need to believe that, because you are what gives him life. You are the ones that, we have these light of the world, and one of the things over there that talked about, we had this little scroll thing, and there's a quote on there that says, I so badly want to ask God, why doesn't he do something about all the suffering and the injustice and the poverty in the world? But I'm afraid he just might ask me the same question. Because God said, oh no, I did do something. First I put on flesh, and I became you. And I went to a place that you could never go. That's not some idea, that's a reality. I really went to hell. I really descended into the lower regions of this earth. And I conquered torment and hell for you. And I really rose from that place 3 days later, like I said I would, because I can, because I'm God. Amen. And you are not. And I rose to a very real life, and I came out of a real tomb, and I walked around and appeared to over 500 people in real life. I am very much alive. And when I ascended back up to the Father, I left myself in the form of a spirit to live in you who believe that I'm alive. Some of us are still hanging out in a tomb. And Jesus says, I don't even know why you're there, because I'm not. I'm alive, I'm well, and I'm living in you, moving you, to transform you. Jesus died for your life, not just for your sin. He died so that you can live forever, so that he can change you, so that he can speak for you, so that, yes, he can control your life and not you control him and tell him what to do. He says, no. I did all that so that I could control you. And you want him to. Think about it, everybody, for just a moment. How well are you really doing at this thing called life? You honestly think God's going to do any worse? you together in his mother's womb, he's seen every single day of your life. He knows the very day you will take your last breath. You don't, but he does. He died to give you that life. I'm going to ask Kayla and the team to join me back up here. I want to challenge us today. I really want you to be challenged today. Because I think it's great to come and we worship. And you know what? I'm going to tell you something, guys. Look around. Kayla's kind of like, come on, you guys, get excited, get excited. And some of us are not demonstrative people. What do I mean by that? You're not like, woo, woo, you know. You don't do stuff like that. You're kind of like, I'm worshiping inside. I'm just rocking it out inside. Okay, that's good. So just because you don't rock out doesn't mean that you don't get excited about it. But the reality is, you get excited about a lot of things. You get excited about football games and sports. You get excited about Thors and Barbies. We get excited about things, but when it comes to Jesus, you're like, no, I think it's good. I'm really, it's inside. I'm going nuts inside. I can tell. Is that how you act at a 49er game? Is that how you act at an Oakland Raiders game? Is that how you act at a baseball game? Is that how you act at right? The things that the Sharks, there you go. Is that how you act at a Sharks game? Right? Apparently. But when we sing about Jesus and his new life and how excited it is, we just don't get that excited. Oh, no, I think it's great. Really? You should tell your face. And I'm going to tell you something. Paul talks about this. And not only Paul, but I think it was, somebody help me out here. It's King David. King David was acting nuts and he was dancing and going crazy and because he was just so excited about his God. And his wife said, you're embarrassing. And he said, man, I'll become even more undignified for my God. It is amazing what we will look stupid for. It is amazing what we won't look stupid for. And you know why you won't look stupid for God? It's easy. Because you worship a dead God. How many of you would go to a football field? I'm sure you wouldn't go to Santa Clara at 49er Stadium and just go, yeah! Woo! And the 49ers aren't there. I mean, some of you would be like, what's that dude doing? No. Not until the team is on the field. Not until the team is playing. Not until the team is active. Then you start. Well, some of you are standing at a tomb going, I don't know how excited we're supposed to get. Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. I want to challenge you guys today to move from worshiping, believing, serving, following a dead God to worshiping and serving and following and believing a very real God. He is risen. He is alive. How do we do this? 3 easy steps. Because some of you go, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to make it very simple. First, you need to believe he's alive. How many of you believe that Jesus is alive? I mean, he's really alive. He's not an idea, he's not a theory, he's not a poster. Let's hear it. Is he alive? If you believe it, cheer like you believe it. The second thing is you have to believe that he speaks for himself. You don't speak for him. Jesus has an opinion, folks. He has a word. When we say that this is living and active, this is living and active. This isn't some old book. This is a book that applies today. These are his words, and he speaks, and he has a plan and an opinion. He's a very real God. And the third thing is you need to commit to discovering who this real God is. Find somebody, talk to somebody, wait for me after church, say, Pastor, how do I do this? I want to know this real God. I'm tired of being at an empty tomb that I just come visit once a year at Easter. Let me release you from that. If you're serving a dead God, you don't need to come worship at a church because churches don't worship a dead God. We worship a living God, a live Jesus. That's what you come here to do. That's what we're here to do. I invite you to stand and let me pray for you. Let me pray for you that you receive him. Father God, you are an amazing God. You are alive. You are risen. You are alive in me. You are alive in so many. I thank you, God, for your resurrection. I thank you, God, for your very real life, Lord. I thank you, God, that we are not to control you, but you have moved into our life to give us a new life and to move in our lives and to guide us and direct us empty tomb. You are risen. You are risen indeed. Lord, I pray that this message touches the very heart of those who've been serving a dead God. And I pray that you would move us to do something about it, to discover who you are, to talk to somebody. Don't leave here the same. Father God, as we spend time in worship, as we spend time at your communion table, as we spend time taking in the body and the blood of Jesus, that juice and those wafers, would you remind us that you are very much alive? You are very much alive and risen in us. Help us to believe that this morning. In the powerful name of Jesus we pray. Amen. I will invite any of those as you're worshiping just to come and partake of the communion element.